Sketch the graph of the polynomial function. Make sure the graph shows all x-intercepts and exhibits the proper end behavior. All right, so if I'm going to talk about end behavior, I need to know the degree. Well, if I actually distribute this all out, and I actually did x minus 1, you'd get x squared plus blah, 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 who cares? But I know that first one is going to be x squared. So it's going to be x squared plus something. Here it's going to be x cubed plus something. Now if I multiply this by this, you're going to end up getting x to the 5th plus a bunch of stuff. So the degree of this whole thing is going to be x to the 5th. And since 5 is odd, we know that an odd function is either going to look like this, or it's going to look like this. And if you notice, this is positive. It's all going to be positive. There's no negative up front. So it's going to be this one, because as x goes to infinity, this is also going to go to infinity. So in this case, it's going to do this. I know that I'm going to have a 0 at 1. And because it's squared, I know it's going to bounce there. And then I'm going to have a 0 at -2. And that's cubed, so it's actually going to, it's going to do something like this. We're going to go start here. And when I get here, I'm going to actually inflection it. Because if it was not a 3 and it was 1, it would actually go through like this. If it's anything other than 1 and it's odd, it's going to go through like this. Then it's going to go up. Oh, we should probably figure out our y-intercept. If I want a y-intercept, I set x equal to 0. So if I set x equal to 0, we end up getting 0, -1 squared multiplied by 0 plus 2 cubed. That gives me -1 squared multiplied by 2 cubed, which ends up being 1 times 8, which is 8. So it's going to go all the way up to 8. And that's going to be right here. So it's going to go all the way up to 8. And then it's going to come back down and has to hit here. Now, since it's even, this guy right here is even, it's going to bounce off and go up this way. And that is what it's going to look like. Now, if you forget the bouncing or the inflection and all that stuff, you can actually use a sign chart. And you plot your important points, so -2 and 1. And then you just plug in a bunch of numbers. So if I plug in something that's really negative on this side right here, let's say -4, you end up looking back up here, and you plug in a -4 here. -4 minus 1 is -5, but -5 squared is going to be positive. And then if I plug in a -4 here, I end up getting -4 plus 2, which is negative. -2 cubed is also going to be negative, so this is going to be negative. So this will be negative. So on my graph, it should be below the x-axis. Then I check something like 0. So if I check 0, 0 will give me 0 minus 1, which is -1 squared, which is going to be positive. 0 plus 2 is positive. 2 cubed is also positive, so this will end up becoming positive. So everything in between from here to here is going to be positive. Then if I check something bigger than 1, like 2, I get 2 minus 1, which is 1. 1 squared is positive. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 cubed is also positive, so this will stay positive. So what this says is that from here to here, it's going to be below the x-axis, and from here to here, it's going to be above. And it is above.